Welcome to another deep dive. We're really enthusiastically welcoming you, the listener, to join us today. We're so glad you're sitting right here at the table with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for tuning in.
Today's topic is, well, it's something that seems deceptively simple on the surface, but it's actually this really complex, real-world test of communication, culture, and, confidence.
Right. It really is.
We're talking about the art of navigating a restaurant in English.
Mm.
And our source material today is this highly comprehensive English learning guide that just breaks down the entire dining experience. I mean, from the moment you pull open those front doors to the very end when you're leaving the tip.
It's a fascinating topic because eating out is rarely just about getting calories. It's this intricate social dance.
The social dance, I like that.
Yeah, because mastering these specific interactions doesn't just get you a better meal. It builds a bridge between you and the local people. It makes you feel at home wherever you are in the world.
Which is huge.
It is. It's the difference between feeling like this anxious outsider peering in and actually being part of the community. The language you use in a restaurant is essentially a microcosm of how society handles politeness, negotiation, and even conflict.
Oh, for sure. And, before you even sit down, there's that inevitable group negotiation of deciding where to actually eat.
Oh, the hardest part.
Right. And the language used to describe restaurants really sets the stage for the whole evening.
Mhm.
Like, the guide contrasts a bistro with a hole in the wall.
Right, two very different vibes.
Completely. A bistro carries this very specific cultural weight. It implies a small, informal, usually French-inspired spot that sits comfortably right in the middle of the price spectrum.
Not too cheap, not too expensive.
Exactly. It's a safe, trendy choice if you're on a date or just having a casual meeting. But then you have the flip side.
The hole in the wall.
Yes.
And the real cultural texture comes out with that phrase. It's just a brilliant idiom because it describes a place that might look entirely unimpressive from the outside.
Maybe even a little rundown.
Yeah, maybe a little rundown, small, easy to miss. But it's known by locals for making incredibly good, usually very inexpensive food.
Right.
Understanding that term completely changes how you perceive a recommendation. If someone suggests a hole in the wall, they aren't insulting the establishment or being cheap. They're actually letting you in on this closely guarded local secret.
Which is the best kind of recommendation. So imagine you're with a group of friends and someone suggests one of these spots. The language you use to agree or disagree is highly revealing.
It really is.
You might say, I'm in the mood for something lighter, which indicates a very temporary, immediate desire. But what happens when someone suggests a place you actively dislike?
That's where it gets tricky.
Yeah. And our source material focuses on this specific phrase, not all that crazy about.
Yes. That phrase is an absolute masterclass in Anglo-American social navigation.
How so?
Well, in many English-speaking cultures, there's a strong psychological aversion to being overly direct when it comes to personal preference in a group setting.
Like, you don't want to ruin the vibe.
Exactly. Flat out saying, I hate Italian food or I despise jazz music is almost always perceived as aggressive or uncooperative or dismissive of the other person's taste.
It's just too blunt.
Right. But saying, I'm not all that crazy about Italian food, it softens the blow significantly.
It's a form of saving face, really. Not just for yourself, but for the person who threw the suggestion out there in the first place.
Precisely. It keeps the friction incredibly low, which is vital for group cohesion.
You see the same pattern when people talk about activities, too. Someone might say, I'm not all that crazy about shopping. I don't really like spending money. It establishes a firm boundary, but it's wrapped in, what do we call it, conversational velvet.
Conversational velvet, I love that. And that layer of politeness is necessary because dining out actually carries inherent vulnerabilities. The stakes can be quite high.
Especially when we travel. Which brings up the danger zone.
Yes, the critical vocabulary around health and safety. You move very quickly from polite preference to absolute necessity here.
The transition from just picking a restaurant to making sure the food doesn't actually harm you is a serious one. The material zeroes in on two major medical red flags, being allergic and getting food poisoning.
Right, and you have to be able to articulate a physical reaction accurately. The text notes common allergies: seafood, tree nuts, peanuts, dairy.
Because the difference between a preference and an allergy is literally life or death.
Exactly. One of the speakers in our source material mentions that eating seafood physically stops them from breathing.
Wow.
Yeah, that requires precise, unambiguous language, which is a stark contrast to the polite indirectness we just analyzed. You cannot afford to say, I'm not crazy about peanuts if you are deathly allergic to them.
You have to be blunt there. And then there's the broader, often unavoidable risk of food poisoning from bacteria.
The traveler's worst nightmare.
There's this harrowing story in the material about a traveler named Erica. Have you read this part?
Oh, yes, the Morocco story.
Yes. She's exploring Morocco. She drinks this absolutely fantastic fresh squeezed orange juice in the morning, and then she gets on a long-haul bus ride.
It is a situation that perfectly illustrates the hidden risks of global travel.
Because you think it's just fruit, right?
Right, but it might have been the local water used to wash the fruit, or entirely different food preparation standards. She ends up incredibly sick, trapped on a moving bus, completely miserable.
Sounds awful.
It is, and without the language to explain what is happening to your body or to ask for the right medical or logistical help, a cultural adventure turns into a literal trap. Knowing that medical vocabulary is your safety net.
Okay, so assuming you've safely navigated the group text and avoided any suspect orange juice, you finally arrive at the restaurant.
The arrival.
The initial interaction with the host or hostess usually starts with, "A table for two, please," or maybe checking in for a reservation. But this is also your first real opportunity to shape the dining experience,
That's right, because you don't have to passively accept the first table they point to.
right by the kitchen doors.
Exactly. If you want to sit by the window or if you need a quiet table in the back, you are allowed to ask. The host will usually accommodate you, though they might say that area is full.
Sure.
But the vital component here is the nonverbal communication. In Western dining culture, making eye contact and using a polite, collaborative tone when asking for a different table is crucial.
Because you're making a request of an equal.
Yes, not issuing a command to a servant. If you lack the eye contact or your tone is too sharp, you risk coming off as demanding or rude.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So once you are seated and you have the menu, or, nowadays you've scanned the QR code on the table, you're faced with the actual choices.
The menu anxiety.
It's real. The sheer volume of unfamiliar words, even for advanced English speakers, can induce panic. You've got your appetizers or starters, your main courses, side dishes, drinks, desserts.
It can be overwhelming.
But the material points out something very liberating. It says you are entirely allowed to not know what a word means.
Yes. The anxiety stems from feeling like you have to pass a reading comprehension test before you are allowed to eat.
Like you're back in school.
Exactly, but you aren't. You can literally point to a dish on the menu and ask, "Excuse me, what is this?" Or ask about the flavor profile by saying, "Is it spicy? Is it sweet or salty?"
It's perfectly fine.
More than fine, it's expected. Ordering is meant to be a two-way conversation with your server.
And you can advocate for yourself. If a dish looks great but has an ingredient you can't eat or simply don't want, you just ask, "Can I have the sandwich without cheese?" Or, "I don't eat meat. Is there a vegetarian option?"
It is about recognizing your own agency as a diner. You aren't just receiving whatever the kitchen decides to give you. You are customizing your meal to fit your needs.
But what if the server approaches to take your order and you are still just paralyzed by the options?
Then you use the simplest, most powerful phrase available to you. "Can I have a few more minutes, please?"
It buys you time.
It instantly diffuses the tension. The server walks away and you get your psychological breathing room back.
I love that. Can I have a few more minutes, please? Such a good tool. But let's say you decide you want the server to take the lead. You want to ask for their recommendation, but you want to sound natural doing it.
Yeah.
The guide offers 3 great phrases. Do you have any suggestions? Do you have any ideas? Or do you have any thoughts?
Those are perfect, but when you ask those questions, you need to be prepared for how the server will actually answer.
Ah, the listening part.
Yes. Our sources highlight a fascinating linguistic quirk that is arguably the most important listening comprehension tool for a language learner.
The pronunciation secret.
Native speakers rarely articulate every single syllable in a sentence. English is a stress-timed language, which means unstressed words get heavily compressed.
Right, so instead of formally saying, "I would recommend," they smash the sounds down.
They do. It becomes, "I'd recommend."
I'd recommend the steak.
Exactly. And it goes even further with enthusiastic recommendations. A phrase like, "You have got to give them a try," becomes something completely different.
It becomes you got,
You gotta. As in, you gotta give them a try.
which is wild if you're trying to read it from a textbook.
If you are mentally scanning the conversation for the separate words have, got, and to, you will completely miss the server's excitement and their actual point. Understanding you gotta is essential.
because that's how it sounds in movies, shows, and real life.
Exactly. Grasping that completely changes how you process the language.
And there's another fascinating cultural quirk when it comes to actually describing the food once you're eating it. You would assume the default word of praise would be delicious.
Oh, textbooks certainly lean heavily on delicious. It is one of the first adjectives taught in any language course.
But the reality of casual conversation is quite different, isn't it?
Very different. Our source material points out that native English speakers almost never use the word delicious in a casual restaurant setting.
Never.
Almost never. It can sound a bit formal or even slightly theatrical, depending on the context. Instead, people gravitate toward really tasty, or if the food is truly exceptional, they might say it's outstanding.
That's so interesting. So really tasty.
Tasty has a relaxed, effortless quality to it. It fits the vibe of a bistro or a hole in the wall much better than declaring a simple sandwich to be delicious, which, I mean, sounds like you are evaluating a Michelin star chef.
Right, like you're a food critic.
Exactly. It is a subtle vocabulary choice, but swapping delicious for tasty or outstanding instantly makes you sound more grounded in the actual culture of the language.
Okay, so the incredibly tasty food has arrived. Now we enter the mid-meal phase. The server will invariably return and ask, "How is everything?" Or maybe, "Do you need anything?"
The mid-meal check-in.
Right, and this isn't just polite small talk. It serves a distinct purpose.
It is a very specific transactional window.
Yeah.
When the server drops by, they're offering you a brief moment to request the minor things that keep the meal running smoothly.
So this is the socially sanctioned time to say, "Can I get some extra napkins?" Or "Can I have some ketchup, please?"
Yes, it prevents you from having to flag them down later when they are busy with other tables.
But what happens when things go wrong? Like, what if the order is completely incorrect or the food is cold? The material delves into the delicate art of troubleshooting your meal,
This is where cultural norms around conflict resolution take center stage.
which can be so stressful.
It can be. The goal is to correct the mistake without causing a scene or making the server defensive. You want to maintain a calm, polite demeanor. You rely heavily on softening language.
So instead of aggressively shouting, "This is wrong," which you should never do, you say, "Excuse me, I think this is not what I ordered."
Right, or I asked for no onions, could you please fix this?
It's clear, but polite.
Exactly. You can also address the quality of the food with the same softened approach, like it's a little too salty or the food is a bit cold. You are stating a fact, but framing it gently.
And generally, servers respond well to that.
In almost all English-speaking dining cultures, servers are highly trained to fix these issues happily, provided the diner approaches them with basic respect and gives them the opportunity to make it right.
That makes a lot of sense. It is also a great moment to exercise a little situational awareness and advocate for the people you are sitting with. I love this practical tip from the guide.
Which one?
If you notice a friend's glass is empty, you can tell the server, "My friend would like some more water, please."
Oh, yes. It is a small courtesy, but it demonstrates a high level of social fluency. It shows you aren't just focused on your own plate, you are actively managing the shared experience at the table.
And a nice thing to do.
It is. And the same logic applies to excusing yourself. Simply saying, "I'll be right back," before heading to the restroom acknowledges the group dynamic. It keeps the social machinery running smoothly without you awkwardly disappearing.
No ghosting your table. Okay, so the plates are finally cleared, and we reach the final stage of the meal. The check, the tip, and the exit.
A grand finale.
And this is arguably the most anxiety-inducing part of dining out in a second language, simply because it involves money, math, and highly variable cultural expectations.
Yeah.
The anxiety is completely understandable, but the script for this is actually very rigid, which should be a relief. To initiate the end of the meal, you simply make eye contact with your server, raise a hand slightly, and ask, "Could we have the bill, please?"
Though, it is worth noting a major regional variation here.
Yes.
Globally, bill is the standard term. But in the United States, you will almost exclusively hear people ask for the check. "Can I get the check, please?"
Regardless of what you call it, once that piece of paper arrives, you have every right to take your time and review it. There is absolutely no cultural taboo against checking the math.
So you don't have to just blindly hand over your card.
Not at all. If you spot an error, you handle it exactly like a wrong food order, with polite, softened language. "Excuse me, I think there is a mistake," or "I didn't order this item. Could you check it, please?"
And then we arrive at the tipping culture, the concept of gratuity. Our source guide explains that if a tip isn't already included in the bill, leaving 10 to 20% is common practice.
However, Tipping is one of the most culturally volatile aspects of dining.
How so?
In some countries, service workers are paid a full living wage, and tipping is either non-existent or just a matter of rounding up the spare change. But in the United States, the tip makes up the bulk of the server's income, making that 15 to 20% practically mandatory.
It's basically a hidden tax on the meal that you're expected to calculate yourself.
Exactly, which makes it incredibly confusing for a traveler. If you are sitting in a restaurant and you have absolutely no idea what the local custom is, the material provides a brilliant, straightforward question.
Is service included?
Yes. Is service included? It is the perfect clarifying question. It removes all the guesswork.
And if you're still not sure,
You can also simply ask, should I leave a tip? It might feel a bit blunt, but it saves you from either accidentally insulting the server by underpaying or unnecessarily paying significantly more than is expected in that specific country.
next comes the actual payment. You declare your method. I'll pay in cash. Or, do you take credit cards? But if you are with a group of friends, you have to navigate the often awkward process of splitting the cost.
Oh, the logistics of splitting a bill can ruin the end of a great meal if handled poorly.
Nobody wants to be doing calculus at the table.
Right. You can ask the server, can we pay separately? But a crucial piece of advice from the guide is to establish the payment plan with your friends before the server is standing over you with a credit card machine.
That's a pro tip. Turn to your friends and ask, do you want to share the bill? Or, let's each pay for what we ordered. Handle the negotiation privately so the server doesn't become a hostage to your group's impromptu math problems.
It shows immense respect for the server's time. And once the transaction is complete, you have one final opportunity to leave a lasting positive impression. A simple, thank you very much, the food was great, closes the loop. It acknowledges the human being who just spent the last hour taking care of you. It elevates the interaction from a mere financial transaction to a genuine human exchange.
You know, when you look at all these interactions stitched together, it becomes so clear that navigating a restaurant in another language isn't just an exercise in memorizing vocabulary lists.
Not at all.
It is an intricate series of social negotiations. It's about real people, connection, and celebrating small victories.
It really is about learning how to express your desires politely, how to assert your personal boundaries without causing offense, and how to read the subtle cues of a completely different culture.
Even if you make mistakes.
Especially then. Mistakes are inevitable. Native speakers stumble over their words, they accidentally order the wrong thing, and they miscalculate tips all the time. But understanding the underlying script gives you the confidence to participate in the experience fully rather than just surviving it. Every smile and a polite question builds that confidence and helps you feel more at home in the world. So true. We want to leave you, our listener, with something to ponder. Next time you sit down at a restaurant, whether it's in your native language or in English, pay close attention to the rhythm of the conversation.
Watch the people around you.
Yeah. What unwritten cultural rules and scripts are playing out right in front of you that you've simply never noticed before?
Once you start looking for those hidden structures, every single meal becomes a masterclass in human behavior.
It really does. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.